Records of the Unknown, Operation Latency, contains horror elements that may be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to an Atomic Broadcasting production, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation. And remember, do your part, such as like, comment, rate, and don't forget to tell a friend to tune in for an Atomic Time.
November 18th, 1952. 8:14 a.m. The sun is just starting to rise. The sun is shining. Clouds are on their way. The people have been awake for some time, working along. Birdie heads out the front door, out to go check out the plane. Shortly after, about a minute, the door opens again. Moving semi-quickly is Dr. Peter Kent. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Alan, I'm here to pick up the breakfast. Oh, yeah, I'll be there shortly. Just saying. Hi. I wanted to apologize for yesterday. I know I was a little erratic. I had a long day, and my father's corpse was there the whole time. I was rather emotional. I apologize.
It's all right, Doctor. Understandable.
I really do want to do what I can to help you all.
Well, Dr. Steele here, was hoping to talk to you.
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Kent. Accept your apology for yesterday. I can understand that a long day of work, especially in that field, can be taxing on anybody.
Yes.
But yes, as I mentioned yesterday, I do plan on actually coming by to just review some of the older medical records. I just wanted to see if there's any sort of pattern of illnesses.
That sounds great. Yes, you're welcome to it. Maybe you can even help me reorganize it while we're going through it, because my father, I have no idea what he did with those cabinets. They are a mess, and I'm deciphering them, I think. But I might just have to pull them all out and restart.
Yes, keeping a good filing system can always be tricky. It's always nice to have help for that, but as I was saying, this is quite a small town. You don't have any sort of nurse practitioners, of course, that assist you, do you, in this small town?
My father had one for a little while, but she got sick and couldn't keep doing it. Most people in this town, if they're interested in pursuing the medical field, don't come back. I only came back because I could do some of my doctoral work alongside my father, but he didn't seem very interested in doing that. Now, you are a doctor. What sort of doctor are you? What do you do? Where are you from?
Well, I did train to be a surgeon.
Lovely.
Yes. Quite strenuous. Definitely a stressful position to be in, but I found after some time I was better served to use my skills in the field as it was.
It's always good to have an idea of what you want to do.
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult training. I've seen quite many things, but that's one thing where I think even treating those that have passed to treat their bodies with respect, as interesting as you might find the predicament. Anyways, I apologize for my own presumptions yesterday.
It's all right. I understand.
You come here for breakfast often, Doc?
Depends. Sometimes I'll get breakfast here. Right now I'm picking up breakfast for Henriette.
Oh, are you?
That way she has something to eat.
Well, as it so happens, I was getting ready to head over there to collect her. I can take the food when I go, if that would be helpful to you.
Yeah, that'd be fine, yes. I imagine so. You said what did you say?
The sheriff is, transferring her custody over to us.
Oh.
We have some questions for her and are hoping to look around her lab. And the sheriff said that he doesn't really want to spare the manpower to watch her himself, him and the deputy, so...
That's not surprising. They've done that a couple of times since my father died. They've had her stay for a couple of days, but they can't keep someone there all the time, so they let her go, and then they take her back for a bit. The sheriff seems really keen on this, but doesn't really have anything to go forward with, you know?
Yeah, we're actually gonna try and help him out, see if we can get to the bottom of what's happening here, the murders or the deaths. I shouldn't presume murder, though it does seem strange.
Rather odd. Those wounds, you know, you found the radiation, but if it was just the radiation killing them, they wouldn't have wounds like that. It's very odd.
Very
odd. And he just says that. Alan comes down. It's like, all right, order up. Here's your stuff. Ah, wonderful. Well, I suppose if you want to take these over to her, I'll take, Dr. Steele, was it?
You can just call me Agent Steele, of course.
Agent, right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting choice of work. Do you still practice at surgery, or are you focused on this CIA deal you have?
I make sure to stay up to date on the common practices these days, but it's definitely, my main priority is to help assist and investigate and share my own knowledge in the field as it is.
Well, that's nice.
But yes, of course, I think that sounds like an excellent plan. We can head back to your office and I can get started while we still have light in the day to look through those old medical records, see if there's any pattern in them.
That sounds great, yes. Let's head on over.
Okay.
So the doctors leave, and Alan Haley hands you the food.
Actually, Mr. Haley, I'm going to go get Miss Bernadette and bring her back here. So can we just keep the food here? I don't want to carry it all the way there just to bring it back here.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll just hold on to it.
Great.
Do you want anything? I can start making you something. I know you kind of already ate, but if you want something small or drink or something.
Take some coffee.
Yeah, sure. I'll get it brewing.
Thank you. And then I'm going to head out to where Miss Bunsen is being held.
All right. So you start heading over to the sheriff's place. Would you roll alertness for me?
Sure. That would be 19 under 70.
As you're making your way to the sheriff's office, you have that feeling again on your back, like something's staring right at you. And taking a quick glance, you see an old woman sitting on a bench, looking at you.
I'm going to approach her.
She is currently sitting in front of what appears to be like a general store or a grocery store. She's got bags of food next to her. As you get closer, she definitely looks like probably in her 80s. She's bundled up, but not as much as you would expect. And her eyes are very you might think that they might just fall out because of how much they kind of pop.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Oh, hello.
Hi, my name is, Agent Adams. I'm with the CIA. I hate to bother you, but, were you about the town last night?
Oh, probably. I stroll around.
Well, I just, I wanted to ask you because, I thought I saw you last night and you were looking at me and my group that I was walking with, and then just now I noticed you staring. It's fine. I just wanted to make sure everything was all right,
I think everything's fine. I don't remember a group last night, but
it's just
you are a new face.
Just me and my two other co-workers, other agents.
I see.
What's your name, miss?
She starts she starts standing up. My name is Aurora Lewis.
Aurora, that's a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you. She starts grabbing her grocery bag.
Do you need some help with those?
Oh, that would be lovely, thank you. I'm just right over there. And she points to a house close to the sheriff's place.
I'll pick up her bags for her and kind of walk her over there.
Oh, thank you. She puts her arm around your arm to helps balance.
So, before you said just when she was staring at me, I kind of got a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Is her touching me or anything she seem normal now that I'm up close to her? Or
It was feeling normal, and then when she touched you, you feel colder.
I will just continue to walk her over to her house.
All right.
Ma'am, you haven't happened to see anything strange in town lately, have you?
Depends on what you would call strange. I'm very old. I've seen many things.
I'm sure you have. You haven't seen a gray man or...
No, I haven't seen a gray man.
I just heard about some kids pulling a prank about it. I didn't know if they got you too.
Oh, those kids. As you're walking, you're noticing, like, people kind of looking your way. Very much like, oh, it's that lady. Like, they all kind of very much give that, like, oh, it's that crazy old woman vibes. It's like, why is he talking to her? There's a lot of that as you're walking along.
Well, have you seen anything that you would consider strange, ma'am?
No. But I've seen things others might consider strange.
Well, why don't you tell me about those?
Oh. She kind of, like, leans a little closer. You've seen it, too. You've communed with him already. He knows you. He wants you. He saw you in the water. He saw you in the mountain.
How do you know about that?
When you're old, you don't have much to talk to. You hear the things that many others miss. My family line is often spoken to. And you kind of get close to her house, and she's like, if you're ever ready, come find me again.
I pointedly do not answer her. And just kind of help her get inside and put her bags down real quick.
She still very much needs help.
Yeah. I'm not going to abandon the old lady no matter how creepy she may be, but I'm not going to answer her.
Yeah, stepping inside of her house, it's very just empty and feels a little like damp, almost wet a little bit. It's kind of weird. There's plastic on her furniture. And then she kind of is like, well, thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
It's always good to see the mark of a good young man.
If you think of anything else strange, I'm staying at Alan Haley's place.
Oh, yes. He's a very nice young man. Well, thank you. And she reaches out her hands to, like, cup your hand so she can, like, thank you. Right here, like, the back of your hand almost feels like it burns for a second. That you might, like, recoil away. And then she pulls her hands back. And there's nothing. She's like, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day, Miss Lewis.
Oh, I will. Every day's a good day. Just depends on how you think about it.
I'm gonna leave.
So you make your way out. The door closes behind you. And you head over to the sheriff's station. As you get in, Henriette Bunsen is out at the front door, like, alongside the sheriff. He's like, you're here. Here she is. Just try not to get into trouble.
We'll do our best, Sheriff. Before I go, I had another question for you, real quick.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
What's up with Aurora Lewis?
Oh.
I just met her this morning.
Her family's always been kind of weird. really lean on that mysticism stuff.
Mm.
I feel like it's a family tradition. They're just there. She didn't, but yeah, she's just kind of our resident old crazy woman, if you will. Not to be rude, but
I see.
most people kind of tend to avoid her, which is kind of sad because she's getting old and she needs help, but she doesn't accept much.
I see. Well, thank you, Sheriff. Miss Bunsen.
Hi.
Hello. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for getting me out.
No problem. You hungry?
Yeah, I didn't get my breakfast today.
I had Alan hold it. My associates are busy this morning. I figured we wait for them to be finished with their business before we head over to your place.
I mean, if you want, I could go ahead and head over and get things prepped so it'd be easier to talk you through everything.
No, I think Dr. Steele wants us all to go together. So
okay, that's fine.
It would be our preference that we all go at the same time. So while we wait, we've got a meal at Alan's place. We'll just wait there.
Okay, that's fine.
Sheriff?
All right, have a good day.
You too. If you see anything or think of anything that might need our attention, you know where to find us.
Yeah, same to you.
We'll go back.
All right, do you head back over and start getting some breakfast?
I drank a lot of coffee.
She eats very quickly and eats a lot.
So, tell me, Miss Bunsen, what made you come all the way out here as a botanist?
Oh, well, I'm from the area, and I decided I'd come back up, look for something. There's not as much federal research up here since we're just a territory.
Right.
So I came up here to see what might be new and hadn't been discovered yet, because I've seen many things that I don't see talked about often. And I was looking around small towns, and I found this place and the fungi, and I thought it was interesting. I'd never heard of it before, seen anything like it. So I came up here.
I see. And this fungus, obviously Dr. Steele has your reports, but what could you tell a layman like me? What makes these things special?
Well, I call it a fungus. It doesn't share all of the traits of a fungus. The makeup of what it is also very just flower-like. I hope...
It doesn't make a lot of sense to someone like me, but...
Yes.
Plant's a plant to me, but...
It's true. And then, of course, the nocturnal blooming of a fungus is... Funguses don't typically bloom in the same way a flower would, but these ones do. And then, of course, I was researching further and found a small radiation dosage from it, and that increased my interest. And somehow, I guess, the CIA got a hold of that information. But, that old Eisenhower, I suppose.
Indeed. This isn't an interrogation, Miss Bunsen, but I would like to know your account of what happened with the former Dr. Kent.
I was out in the lab working on my projects, and he must have stumbled into my house, my home, my living area, and by the time I was done, it was pretty late. It was almost midnight before I turned in, and when I went back, he was laying in my living room, dead. So I got on the radio and called over to the sheriff, which he was able to hear, and they came as fast as they could. Then they arrested me. Though I'm not sure. The front door was unlocked, but one of my windows was broken.
Seems strange.
I thought so, and I don't know what could have happened to him. His leg was... Well, You went over with the sheriff to the morgue, so I'm sure you saw that.
We saw.
Yeah. I don't know what could have happened. He's been blaming me for it, and then poor Peter, he hasn't been handling his father's passing very well. They've had a very complicated relationship. I've always been sad for him growing up. But then Bobby ended up dying in the mines and blamed me for that as well.
And that doesn't make much sense considering you were locked up.
I wasn't locked up at the time.
Oh.
He hasn't been able to hold me very long because manpower is not very existent here, and so of course he just assumed I got up to it again for some reason after getting almost put away for life on one accident. He called me. I just assumed I would just go out and do it again for some reason. But no, I didn't do that. Not me.
You mentioned feeling sorry for the younger Dr. Kent.
Yes, Peter.
Growing up. Peter.
Mhm.
Growing up, why was that?
Well, Uriah was very, very pushy on Peter. I didn't think he treated him very well. But him and Tommy were good friends. They were like brothers, so he always had Tommy to confide in. But it's sad seeing a man and his father so divorced. I think Uriah thought he was doing all the best, but I could really see it hurting Peter. My heart yearned and broke for him.
They were never close.
No, he went off to college to become a doctor like his father, and when he came back he was hoping he could get a lot of the extra time in for his doctorate with his father, but his father took him for a little bit and then nothing was ever right. So he just stopped having Peter help. It was around that time that I needed help, and so Peter came out and helped me.
I see. And in your professional opinion, as a botanist, is there anything in your research that would indicate that whatever happened to Uriah was somehow, and Bobby, was somehow linked to these plants, this fungus?
Oh, no. That
Nothing
would be
to indicate.
ridiculous. If something like that happened from exposure, it would have happened to me.
Fair enough.
I've become more careful, especially when I first discovered they were radioactive. And then with these things happening, I've become more careful. But I don't wear a suit, a hazmat suit or anything. I just wear gloves and everything's fine. The levels are so low, it's not really a concern. At least I haven't thought so. But I'm not a radiologist.
Neither am I. Honestly, that would be more of a question for Dr. Steele. But if not exposure, could maybe ingestion or something else? Are they poisonous, perhaps?
The wildlife occasionally will eat of it, but then they kind of move on, and I've never seen any symptoms.
Wildlife seems normal.
They tend to ignore it after they try to eat of it. They don't like it, and then they avoid it. But no, I've never seen anything happen to them. And, of course, nothing's happened to me.
Of course.
I've, of course, partook.
Oh, you've tried it?
It's not very good. I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, especially it being radioactive. I can't imagine that would be too good for you.
Yes.
I thank you for humoring me with these questions. I'm just trying to get a picture.
Of course, anything to help.
Anything to clear your name, that's what I'm looking to do.
That would be helpful. Which is why I suggested I could head up there earlier and get everything sorted to make things quicker, but I understand wanting to wait.
It was Dr. Steele's wish that we all go together.
Are we walking over there?
How far?
It's about 8 miles east.
Might see if we can commandeer some transportation.
Abe has a car. He's very nice. I'm sure he'd be willing to help. He also used to do government work.
We were actually hoping to speak with him, so we might check with him about using his car.
Yes, he's been very helpful with me. On occasion, he'll give me rides up and down.
Good to know. Well, Miss Bunsen, I can't think of any other questions. Do you need more coffee or?
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Well, I do. Hang tight. I'll
Yeah.
be right back. And so I'm gonna.
You see if he has any, I don't know, medicine of some sort. I've had an aching headache all morning.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I'm going to get up and go find Alan.
Well, howdy there, Agent. How you doing?
I'm all right, Mr. Haley. I need a couple things.
Yeah.
I need another cup of coffee, if you
Sure.
don't mind. And Miss Bunsen is complaining about a headache. You don't happen to have any aspirin or...
Yes, I've got some. I'll grab some. Yeah, I'll bring it out with the coffee.
Great. Before you go, real quick,
Oh, yeah.
you run this place, and this is pretty much the only place to go in town, right?
Oh, yeah.
As far as food and drink and...
Well, a lot of people eat with each other at their homes.
Sure.
But when they want to kind of be in a more crowded area or not have to do any work, yeah, they come over to me.
Sure. So, you've got a pretty good finger on the pulse of this town. Would you say so?
I like to think so.
Have you noticed anything weird, anything strange happening in the past few months, few weeks?
Aside from the murders.
Well, I was kind of trying to lead you into if you knew anything about that, but yeah.
No, I don't know much about it. The miners are pretty upset because sheriff's trying to close down the mine. The guy just kind of dropped dead. It's not unusual for miners to drop dead. It's kind of unusual here. Dan's really good about making sure that people get checked up so their lungs are always at tip-top shape. If they're not, he pulls them for a bit and lets them rest. So it's odd that something like that happened, and then, of course, it was a little bit more. I heard the miners kind of talking about like a hole in his shoulder, but I don't know. The sheriff hasn't really talked about it much to us.
Sure. And Dan, he's your brother, right?
Oh yeah, Dan, we go way back.
Has he talked to you about any of this?
No, we don't live together, so
I understand.
he's not the nicest guy. But we talk, we have dinner, but yeah,
I understand. Honestly, Mr. Haley, I'm just trying to get a picture and...
I get you. Little kids have gotten up on this gray man thing again.
Yeah, this morning we had a encounter with some vagrants.
Yeah, it's been like, I don't know, 18 years since maybe since that died down. I think that rumor started when we were kids.
You know where that started?
No, I know a lot of kids gave Tommy a lot of grief back in school, but I don't know where it actually started. It was just one of those things happened, and then everybody talks about it. Yeah, I think 18 years ago or so it probably stopped. At least I haven't heard or seen kids talk about it until recently. I don't know what happened, but...
Oh, yeah, sometimes these local legends, people latch onto them and they can lead to answers. So that's the only reason I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Anyway, I'll let you get that coffee.
All right, yeah. As you sit back down, the coffee's brought, the medicine's brought, and Birdie comes back inside. And from there, we'll cut over to the doctors. So, the two of you, Dr. Steele and Dr. Kent, head into Dr. Kent's house. Welcome, I suppose. If you'd like, I have a coat rack over here, and we can head right downstairs. So it is a little chilly downstairs, so
If it's a bit chilly downstairs, I might take my coat with me, but much appreciated.
that is fair. Oh, golly, what time is it? It's... While you're looking at these files, I'm going to have to prepare Tommy's body for the burial.
Okay, I understand, of course. I don't imagine I'd find too much, but I just want to kind of get a sense, the gentlemen that we find, with their strange elements. I don't want to presume murder. I'm just curious if there's any strange elements that your father was able to record before his own passing. Not like I don't imagine to be the exact same, but if there's some strange cough or something that's not quite a cold, just something that might be out of the ordinary in the records.
I haven't noticed anything myself. Growing up here, there wasn't really... people talk about legends and such with sickness, but there wasn't really a lot. At least from what I understand, nothing out of the ordinary. Just the kids would get sick and throw up, the usual stuff. But,
That's good to know. I want to be able to check anything that might be there.
Yes.
How long have you been back? As I understand, you only somewhat recently returned to help your father's practice, correct?
Yeah, about a year ago I came back. For the first couple months I worked alongside my father, but he didn't think I was doing anything well, so he just kind of made me stop working alongside him. But it was around that time Miss Bunsen came into town and she needed some assistance, so I lended it to her. It was nice meeting somebody new. Oftentimes a lot of people, usually most people who come here are from here, but she's not from here, so I thought that was very interesting.
Miss Bunsen isn't from here.
No, she said she's from the area, in like up in this territory, but she's not
I understand, because that's
living here. Much like me, she went to the States to get her degree and then came back to the area.
I understand, because yes, I remember when we talked to her the other day that she had mentioned that she was from the area, so I wasn't sure if you happened to know her before you both went off to study in your own fields.
Yeah, I got a little distracted from the help when Tommy died. I tried to help with that, but my father kept pushing me out. And now my father's dead, so I have to kind of get involved in this stuff, so...
You grew up in this town, of course, correct?
Oh, yes, I did.
What do you know from growing up here what John Gibson was like growing up? I know he may be older than you, but what was he like as a younger fellow?
Oh, no, he's actually very close to my age. He was pressured a lot. His family are the peacekeepers. His father did what he's doing now for a long time, until he passed away in the war.
Yes, of course, I understand.
Yes, John wasn't able to go help with that. But John didn't really want to be the sheriff, quote-unquote, of town. He was actually hoping Abe would take it over when he moved into town, but Abe didn't want to do that.
The fisherman? Or the fishing expedition?
Yes, Abe, he also didn't grow up here. He fought in the wars, and then he said he worked for the government for some time, and then he wanted some peace and quiet, so he moved up here, and him and John got talking a lot, and he was like, hey, I think, from what I understand, I wasn't privy to the conversation, of course, but John seemed to imply he wanted him to kind of take over or something, but he wouldn't. So John's still kind of been stuck with this. He's been, I think John's been trying to get Lucas up enough that Lucas could take over for him. I don't know what about it John doesn't like, but lately he's been very on edge about it.
I imagine it was a stressful position.
Things have been tough, and then
especially lately as things have come up.
Yes, once Tommy died, he hasn't been quite himself. None of us have, really. It's not very easy to see a friend you grew up with pass away like that.
I'm sorry, did you know Tommy personally growing up?
He was like a brother to me, really. I didn't really have a relationship with my father, and my mother wasn't around, so Tommy was who I could talk to, spend time with. Though he was also didn't have much of a relationship with his parents either. We had a small, I hesitate to call it an orphanage in town, but a house for a lot of kids who lost their parents in the war. So I guess an orphanage really is the best word for it. We don't have it anymore because we don't have any at the moment.
They're all of them have grown up.
Yes, and Aurora's gotten so old now she can't really take care of children.
Oh, that's understandable.
And most of the parents in town didn't want her taking care of the children anyway.
Was she quite hard?
She is wacky, if you will. I'm sure you'll probably see her around. She's an old woman, very weird. Has lots. Her family is very into mysticism and such nonsense. Most people in town understand how ridiculous it can be.
As well, it seems that everyone's kind of grown into their places. I know things can be difficult, especially in times like these.
Yes.
Apologies, I didn't realize that you knew Tommy quite personally.
Oh, yeah, that's part of. I'm sure that played into how we acted about him last night, and I apologize about that. It's a sore spot for both of us, and I guess we were just concerned you'd come in and start, don't know, roping him into it. We just want to see him get his rest like he deserves. He's had such a hard life, and he finally found something he was good at, and it killed him. His wife would have been happy to know that. To know that he found something he liked, not that it killed him.
Tommy was married. Is his wife still in the area?
Sasha, yes, she grew up with us alongside, and when I moved back into town, about a week after I moved in, so about a year ago now, I found her in a blizzard, dead, just outside, just without any clothes on. She was just frozen. I'm not sure what happened. Tommy was so distraught. They had just had a child, and she was holding the child. And then Tommy was left alone. And we tried to help him, and
I put my hand on his shoulder, try to reassure him.
Chuck tried so hard to give him a good career that he could focus on, and Tommy was really connecting with it in a way we'd never seen him before. He's always had trouble connecting with things. And
what did he do for the town?
Chuck Callahan, he's kind of the electrician. He's been working on bringing electricity here to help, and Tommy had a knack for it, and so he helped him out, the two of them. So he would install generators, help work electrical lines into homes. I guess something was broken. Yeah.
It can be dangerous to work with. My condolences, of course. But at least him and his dearly departed wife at least be together again. No.
Yes. Sorry, I really have to get.
Yes, of course. I don't want to mean
the burial today. No, it's all right.
Can you just show me to the records and I'll.
Yes, right in here.
Is there a desk perhaps I can use to kind of just sit down comfortably and read through these, or?
Yes. So as he opens the door, it's a bathroom-sized closet, and he walks over and there's kind of a door in there, and he pulls it down. It's one of those vertical doors come down, and it'll go from one wall to the other wall, and it's like a desk. It's like a pull-down desk.
Okay.
I assume he worked like that. If you're on that side, you have the desk instead of a door to work with. And when you're ready to leave, you just pop it up and head out. Again, like I said, if you could decipher the way he has things organized, that'd be great. If not, you're welcome to start reorganizing, because I'll need to probably do that.
I understand. I'm only trying to find out how he has these all stacked up, and I'm just looking for a pattern. I'll probably look over the past couple of years for the most part. I might look perhaps before that to find a control of how things were before that. But other than that, yes, as I'm going through them, if I am able to find it or find those patterns, I'll group them together by the patients they might have encountered, and then by the time that he had written those up. But that's about all I'll do for you since I'm here already.
All right, wonderful. I'll just let me know when you're done, I suppose. Or I'll let you know when I need to leave.
Yes, of course.
It's about 8:30 right now, and I'll need to be out by 12.
12, understood. I would not want to burn all my daylight hours, but if I have to, if going through these, then perhaps I'll do just that. But thank you very much for allowing me to kind of look through these, and I'll let you know if I find anything that might be of concern for the community's health. Certainly, maybe some illnesses keep ticking up a bit, but other than that, I hope I don't find anything too concerning, but I just want to be able to check and make a note of it.
Wonderful. Just so you know, things are a little weird here. The sun should set around 3:15.
Okay.
So you have, I guess, a good 7 hours.
Okay. Yes, I know my team members are definitely expecting me back at a certain time, but I didn't want to waste their own time in the investigation reading through old medical records.
Understandable.
They would not find that nearly as interesting as I would.
Oh, yes, I'm sure. That's why they bring several of you with all different interests and expertise, I'm sure, so you can do your different things. It's mind-boggling that you'd come up here. You said you were here classified, is that right?
It definitely is classified.
It's very interesting, but it has something to do with... Sorry, I shouldn't pry. I'm going to get to work.
Thank you very much. I'll let you know if I need anything.
All right. So, Nolan, you are going through all of these. What skill do you feel like you'd want to use to help go through these medical records?
I definitely, want to be able to use a skill I am pretty good at. My search is only at a 40, but I do have the bureaucracy skill of 50, so I'm curious if maybe I could go through those as
yeah, for sure. Bureaucracy.
The way they were filled out as medical records should be filled out.
Yeah, being skilled in bureaucracy, you'd be really used to going through files like this, and you know just how to work it. So if you
Excellent.
Make a bureaucracy roll.
Tonight's been going well, and I probably just jinxed myself. I did 58 over 50.
So I'm going to do the same thing as I did for Abby. You do not fail, but it adds time.
Okay.
So, as you're searching through, give me some ideas. What are you looking for here, exactly? What is Steele interested in?
So I'm definitely want to differentiate, since he's only been here about a year now, I don't want to differentiate the records that young Dr. Kent has kept versus what his father has kept. I just kind of go back to what his father was working on.
At this point, there's really almost nothing that Peter has done, because he's only just recently, this last month, taken over.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any. There's something like a pile near the door, but that's it.
Okay. I will glance through his small pile as quick as I can for anything regarding Bobby, the minor, if he happened to come in for just a symptom or question he had.
There is one thing, and it's a general check. The miners do them every month or so to check mostly their lungs.
And any strange raspy breathing.
Yeah. This is from almost a year ago, so presumably when Peter was working alongside his father.
Okay.
He noted, bad liver because of the drinking. Lungs were okay. They had some problems, but nothing that Dan would need to be concerned about. Just some general health problems, but nothing like sickness-wise.
General checkup that since Dan's taking care of his men. I do want to know that since he was a minor, his lungs didn't have anything actually bad. His lungs were not in pristine condition, right? It was only his liver
and his small intestines. Yes, which Lafayette also told you that Uriah's small intestines were also good.
Okay, so they're both different people who have the same organ.
Yeah.
That's a good note. That's the only one I'm really concerned about for his. Because I do want to look mostly into anything that might kind of clue in if maybe people feel symptoms before this event occurs.
After some time passes, I would say the most common thing you're finding on people is like a stomach bug. It doesn't spread in ways stomach bugs typically spread. He doesn't really know how it's spreading necessarily. It seems kind of random. But it often leads to a lot of throwing up and hot and cold feelings.
Fevers, hot flashes, I think
that kind of stuff, but nothing intense.
And they're showing up sporadically?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe
like 3 or 4 people a month, but like fairly consistent. So sometimes it's like 3, sometimes it's 6, but it seems to just be a consistent across like a decade.
You mean like in the age group that it's affecting, or just the...
Not the same people.
Okay.
Just the town as a whole.
Yeah.
This just keeps affecting about 3 to 6 people every month for like 10 years.
Okay, yeah. I definitely did look through the records pretty good to see that. Yeah, it's just something that comes up pretty regularly. That's definitely an interesting note. My understanding is that the changes have only been noticed in the past 2 years, correct? Between the fish and the fungus.
So the fish, from what you've been chatting with, it's kind of been unclear. Some people have talked about like, the fish thing, that's always been a thing, and some people are like, well, it's getting more noticed the last couple of years. That might be something to follow up with Abe or some of the fishermen.
Because I'm definitely thinking if it's showing up regularly, it might have just been like people came back from a fishing trip with a bad batch of fish, maybe, is my idea.
Maybe.
I definitely have written this down, and I'm curious to ask someone if people have been trying to cook and eat the strange fungus that has been showing up. Although I doubt they will be noted here in the records, although I could, I guess, look if he says, people ate something strange and they came to me sick.
Right.
I doubt he writes that down. Other things I wanted to check, now going back, all you mentioned, I kind of looked through a wide range of them just kind of getting that recurring stomach bug. Dr. Kent's notes, the deceased older doctor, I imagine he doesn't have a personal journal. These are his medical records for other patients. Was there anything different in the, I guess, from the previous month when his son had to take over, all as far back as 2 years ago? Because again, as far as I understand, people noticing the changes starting 2 years ago. Are people getting sick more often? Maybe they're starting to report that sonic bug, like maybe more people each month.
No, not really. Nothing's really increased.
Okay.
I will say how this is mostly laid out is the names are all inconsistent, but he has almost like the whole person's life in one folder of all their checkups and such. So you could be
That's
like,
handy.
oh, let me think, what's so-and-so's history? And it's kind of all there. And because he's kind of old and everybody kind of stays in town, you can actually kind of look back on like people's lives.
Knowing that, I guess I'm kind of curious. Are there any records of Valerie Novikov?
Yeah, they go back about 15 years.
Goes back about 15 years, so they've been here a while. I guess there's not going to necessarily be anything strange, if they go back as far as 15 years, I imagine she might have records of whenever they had family, her and her husband perhaps.
Yes, she did have a child, so there were records about that.
Connecting to her record, I'm able to find anything on her husband, because as I understand, he's deceased.
Yes, Nikolai Novikov. He moved about the same time she did, so his records go about just as far back. He died. There's not a lot of information in his reports about his autopsy and death, but it does rule it as a heart attack.
Heart attack?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He was said to have been found out in the cold one night, that he had a heart attack coming home from work.
Unfortunate. Interesting.
Or from the bar. No one was really sure. He wasn't in a place that was like, well, what was he doing out here? But like,
he wasn't home. He wasn't
home.
at work, and he wasn't at a bar. He was in between somewhere, and he had a heart attack.
Yes.
Or it looks like he had a heart attack.
Yeah, so it describes him as there's a lot of damage from the cold, but that it was very clearly his heart that gave out.
And it was... What was the first... I don't want to keep calling him Dead Dr. Kent. What was the first name of...
Uriah.
And what was Uriah Kent's... he had the pristine heart.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Being the doctor in town, I don't imagine he would... And it's a small town pretty far out. I don't imagine he had another doctor to go to himself. Did he keep a record of his own, like... I guess I don't know who would do that. I don't know why he would.
Not in this records room, not that you see.
Yeah, I'm curious if I might be able to ask Peter if his father was known to have heart trouble as well or not. The amount of time researching, I don't want to just keep going with questions. I do want to keep going with questions, but I don't want to, like...
So there's other people you specifically want to ask about?
The Germans. I'm curious if they've come to the doctor for anything.
So like you were given that name, that one name.
Johann Hansen is what
Johann
I have.
Hansen, yeah. He does have a record. He has come twice. And he seemed like he was in good health.
Okay.
There wasn't much exciting on his... And it looks like there's a couple of others that about the same time as him, and they all seem to be good.
How recent are the records? I've not many times, but...
About 8 months ago.
8 months, okay.
And then it seemed like they came in for another one, a couple of them, for like about 5 months ago.
That's good to at least have noted down. And they've only... according to these medical records, they've only been around here for at least 8 months, or at least that's the latest they've been to a doctor.
Yes.
Now knowing her name, I'm curious about Aurora, the older woman that's apparently her family's into mysticism.
There are no records for her. There is a folder with her name on it, but there is nothing in it.
He was prepared at least. Okay. Knowing that he has these organized by the group, the name, I'm going to be organizing them by like last name, first name, since he had them already grouped together.
That's
just
fair.
It's simple enough. Again, like as I'm going through them, I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
just put them back in an order that makes sense. And, you know, it's not as much of a disaster as I was worried about, where it's just, yeah, put papers here, papers there, the data here, put it on top.
What's your alertness again?
40.
What's your search?
40.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'd say you probably have enough time for like 2 more
2 more.
to get specific on.
Okay. Let's go with Dan Haley.
Dan Haley, honestly, there's nothing too odd. He also has the occasional sickness. His cholesterol's high. His blood pressure gets pretty high. So he's not like the healthiest of guys, but it's kind of about it. he seems to come fairly regularly, just like his minors do, to get checked up.
That's good. I feel it would do well since she's been interacting with these strange specimens. Are there any records on Henriette Bunsen?
There's just about the one. When she came, a little bit after she came into town, she got checked up on, and fairly normal. Her heart rate seems to get high, so he prescribed her something small to kind of help keep it low. It's almost noon, and as you're kind of putting things away and you put Bunsen's away, you do notice one other one that stands out similarly to Aurora, Tommy Haverfield. He had almost no records of any kind until about 3 years ago when his wife was pregnant. It was the first time he's come in since he was born. And there's like a lot of records. Like, they're not necessarily checkups on him, but he came in a lot consistently with her. So if you cross-reference it with hers really fast, it was like almost weekly, if not more than once a week when she was pregnant.
Interesting. They came in very often for that.
Yes, and then it also seemed fairly consistent after she gave birth that the child was brought in as well. So was she, as like a group checkups. But there wasn't really much done on him at all during those checkups, just mostly focused on those two. And then when she passed, there's nothing else.
Did he write down like they were asking any strange questions before the pregnancy? Did he write down if the patient, Sasha, had asked him any questions that were odd?
No,
Okay.
Just kind of the same questions over. You might be able to ask Peter for more specifics about like that. I don't think the report would necessarily say so-and-so asked these questions.
Okay.
But yeah, like we said, there was nothing in his file until that. He had never been in for checkups before that.
And he was only...
And he grew up here.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of information the files have about that, aside from just in,
Right.
everything's good, in, everything's good, everything's good, everything's good.
I have a question, but I feel like it's not a great question because it feels like it's almost meta-breaking because I listened to the first season.
Oh, what's that?
How long was her pregnancy? Like, when did she come in first to whenever the child was born?
9 months.
Okay.
It was around 9 months. It was very much a normal time.
A normal time.
And as you're kind of thinking about those, you hear a knock knock, and Peter's like, Dr. Steele, I've got to get going, so you'll need to head out. We can get on this again maybe tomorrow, or whenever you have time. I know you're in investigation.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, of course. I might, if you don't mind, I do mean great respect, we might attend the funeral with you for poor Tommy. I do want to mean full respect.
Yes, it starts about 2.
Okay. I imagine you'll be in attendance.
Yes, I will be in attendance. I'll also be helping to run the funeral.
I have been going through these records, just kind of seeing. Your father did keep good organization of having a file for basically every person in town, even those that wouldn't come to visit him. He was prepared. So what I've been doing is I've just been going through the files he already had set up for each person's name. I've been organizing last name, first name.
That's fair. I thought so as well. They're just so erratic how they're placed.
They are. I've been trying to just make sure that you're in a good sense of order here.
Yes. There were some that were by date, but I merged them with the names.
Very good.
I didn't know why he would do that, but
It's easier just to look at a single person's record if you kind of keep their own files together.
I agree. All right.
It behooves you if you can manage to get it delivered up here. A filing cabinet might help.
Yes, that would be good. Better than tubs.
Yes.
I really...
Yes.
See,
Of course.
we gotta go. I must get started, or this is gonna be late, and everyone's gonna blame me.
Do not want that. See, I fold up the laying down table back up into the door it was. That doesn't, like, it's just kind of a small recess for it to go flat, almost like a closet. There's nothing like back there.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing that you could see. I mean, if you wanted to like take time and poke around, but you can't do that right now.
No. I do try to do it, slightly as I'm kind of putting it back up to kind of like just firmly press against like the back wall of it and see if it gives inward at all.
Roll search.
Ooh, 72 over 40.
No, I mean, it just seems like a wall.
Yeah, fair enough. Close it.
Yeah, so it just seems like a wall. You close it up. He takes you out. And you head back to the bar to meet up with the others.
Okay.
And camera pans over to the graveyard. And then we fade to black.
Thank you for listening to the Records of the Unknown Operation Latency. Records of the Unknown is an Atomic Broadcasting production. Delta Green is copyright of Arc Dreams Publishing. Operation Latency is not published or endorsed by Arc Dreams Publishing and is an original module created and run by Samuel Sarver. Our players are Nolan as Dr. Sylvester Steele, Abby as Bernadette Birdie Bellamy, and Harrel as Corporal Alexander Adams. Music in the show is from Monument Studios, as well as various artists. If you enjoy the show, be sure to subscribe or follow the Atomic Broadcasting Network on your favorite listening platform. If you want to stay in touch, you can follow us on our socials listed in the description. Join the community in our Discord server to be notified of future uploads and join in on the conversation of what's to come. Don't forget to like, comment, and tell a friend. And as always, have an atomic time.
Hi, Nolan.
Stop it now.